Still one with a ghost of us. Name in my mouth cuts too much. Half a thought and it folds in two. Like a bruise leaves a mark on you. Don't hurt in my shaking hand. Know something I don't understand. Like ghosting at the edge of me. Something there that I just can't see. You hear that too? Or is it just me? Downside out, downside out. I need to go where I don't belong. Downside out, downside out. I need to go where it feels so wrong. It's the same sad song, empty space that was here all along. Every step is a borrowed shape, every second a vain escape. Laughter crying out for sin, summer stealing the autumn wind. There's a face that I almost know through a window where I won't go. If you're there, don't let me see. Downside out, I need to go where I don't belong. Downside out, downside out, I need to go where it feels so wrong. Check one. And the things I do, in my hands, and the way I speak, in the cracks when I try to sleep. And you said, like you always did, never answer, just nod your head. If I reach, do you disappear? God find you are never here. Don't touch the door.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Check one. All right. We're going to go to here. Wait, I'm going to just jump straight in here. Welcome. I know I'm getting a little jump on getting the show started, but I don't mind that. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, that's Downside Out. That'll be in the new record. Hi. Lots of stuff going on. I am, as I just told Jody and Sean on the Politics Bar, I'm dusty and stanky. I've been working. I was patching concrete till well past midnight last night. That was a good time. And then this morning, I went to get the buffer, the grinder to like even out the surface. And the power going to the basement, the new space, isn't enough to run the thing. So that was an adventure. I got about 45 seconds out of it and go pow, and I'd have to go flip the breaker. That was fun. That's fun. Considering carrying that up and down a flight of stairs, and it only weighs about 125 pounds, I don't know, maybe 150. I don't know. I can lift my own weight, so I weigh about 160. So it's about a ballpark, really cumbersome. Yeah, good times. Anyway, so I'm going to have to personally grind the spots on the floor myself because the breaker kept going. So you couldn't get Eric to help you. I'm not going to make him do that shit. He's been through enough. His valiant service is of legend, and at this point, I can do this shit myself. Plus, let me tell you something about us working stiffs. If dads who save a dime or two by fixing stuff themselves get a bad rap on sitcoms and the like. But where I come from, that's normal. You at least give it the old college try before you hand it off to a professional, unless it's electricity near standing water. That's clearly a no-go. Just use a long extension cord. I tried. It won't, like within 4 rooms of the basement, it trips all the, I'm having a new breaker put in just for the basement for the stuff because I have to. I had to do that here. We had to add a breaker for the basement here because of the wiring on this house. And you know how houses are. You move in, the wires are supposed to go one way. Do they? Who can say? We've had like the jumper switches that can go out if there's a short. We have one that's down here that affects our bathroom upstairs. And if that goes out, you have to come all the way down to the basement and go, where the fuck was that again? Clack. And it's on a wall. It makes no sense. But the wires, that's where the wiring to that bathroom goes through the wall from the breaker up through, and they snaked it however the hell they did. It's goofy. Am I Hal Sparks? The one and only. Of course I'm Hal Sparks. Am I Hal Sparks? That's adorable. So, All right. So, how old is the house? This, it's like 2002, but everything's original. You know what I'm saying? Uh-oh, somebody's at the door.
Someone is at the front door.
Oh, dear. Waiting for a ring to, who could it be? Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know who that, hold on. I might have to get that one. I don't think, oh, no. I think they just set something down and rang the bell. Because they have to do that around here because things cook. Hold on. Cam, was there somebody at the door? Was it a package? Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right. Yeah, don't order anything that can't stand being put in a kiln. In anywhere with close to Las Vegas. Aren't I off the grid? Not yet. I'm working on it. I like the grid, though. I like you guys. I would like to take my load off the grid. What does that mean? I would rather not tax the grid, but I would like to be connected to my fellow human beings, like I am right now, through the greatest chat room in the history of chat rooms, on the greatest live stream in the history of live streams, Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Get used to the idea. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, etc. I am not in the new studio yet, and I won't be for at least a couple of weeks. So it's going to take some work, and that's what I'm doing at night besides this, and stand up this Friday. And oh shit, I probably,
Time for a shameless plug. Oh yeah, it's shameless plug time.
So obviously you guys know the Sexy Liberal show is coming up this fall and October. I have that one up all the time because we put it up a while back, but it's there. It's October 24th. It's probably sold out. But what I will say for just a shameless plug in general, if I may, is subscribe. Well, you just hit the subscribe button. Just do the whole subscribe-y thing. Would it kill you to hit that? Where's that? Come on up here. There you go. Just subscribe. That's the other thing. Also, I have a single on iTunes from my band 01. And it's called Blue Marble, and I wrote it for the Artemis mission, and hopefully it'll be played as part of their moon soundtrack in a couple of years when the mission's going there. That's the goal. And, it's one of the submitted songs, which is nice. And what else am I doing? Friday, I'm at Flappers, and all of our Patreons and our YouTube members get a live free show for being members and that kind of thing. And then the following Tuesday, Ultimate Jam Night at the Whiskey. I'm hosting and singing, and I will be doing, it's songs in the key of black. So I will be singing songs that are either have black in the title, or the band has black in their name, or yeah, that kind of thing. Like the Black Album by Metallica and Back in Black. It's the anniversary of Back in Black. That's why we're doing it. So I'm singing so far Back in Black, Black by Pearl Jam, Black Diamond, and then we're still working out what the closing song might be. So we'll see. Yeah, there's a couple of things in the air, but those three are for sure. So anyways, much love and joy and all that kind of stuff, and go. And YouTube is up. Okay, good. All right. I felt like I was holding my breath on that one. Yeah, hit the like, share the show, do that kind of stuff, help the show out. It really does help a bunch. Yeah, I just got to clear my cough tickly thing between now and then. It's on its way out. It just comes when I have to talk a lot, or I've been breathing a bunch of dust, which is probably not the best idea. Okay, we have so much to cover. Let me get into this. I jumped ahead on a bunch of this stuff. Couple of the clips we can deal with right away, if I may, right out of the gate. Can I simplify some of these, like this one, for example? Bill O'Reilly, you guys remember him. He's the only guy whose entire face looks like Trump's nunt. I feel like I almost have to give a nunt warning with his whole face. But the title of this video was, Did They Boo President Trump? Yes. We've solved that. That's yeah, so simple. That whole we answer that very quickly. Yes, they did boo him. They booed him a lot, and they will be booing him a lot more. So that was easy. We're blitzing through these clips right now. It's amazing. Now, the next thing, I don't want to jump to that one. Okay, so there's a video that stood out that Fox put up that was equally as dumb as Maria Bartiromo's, like, if we blown up their entire military, how are they still firing missiles? Like, which was magic. But on top of that, they had this video that came out and said, we're in real trouble. GOP rep drops stark debt warning. Now, the guy that she has on is David Schweikert. He's a Republican from Arizona, that state that gave you the Maverick, John McCain, which, by the way, you do realize that was they were using Maverick as a pejorative with him. It was making fun of the Tom Cruise character comparison, like, this guy will get you killed. They were being dicks to him even back then. So now, she reads Trump's Truth Sinkhole post, and then she asks this guy about the budget a second. Come here. Let me show you how the Republicans are talking amongst themselves about normal shit like the budget. Check this out.
Congressman David Schweikert, he is also the chairman of the Joint Economic...
If you don't know this guy, besides the fact that he looks like Dr. Smith from Lost in Space, sort of as a neighbor on the Burbs, he's the guy who actually comes. He does the actual budget numbers for the Republicans, and when he comes out onto the floor of the House with his little placards and his charts, everybody leaves. There's not a Republican in that anywhere to be seen. Like, if the presiding member, the president of the House, the presiding member of the House could leave too, fuck off. I've shown him once before when he did one of his things. He's like, we're fucked. There's no budget. We're not fiscally conservative. We're insane. This isn't going to work. Like, he was just... that's all he does. He comes out on the floor and snaps by telling the truth. So I don't know why he's smiling, but check this out.
Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. We know there's some prominent friction in the House Republican Congress over where to go this week. Do you think the party unites around this? What is the priority? A CR or a reconciliation 3.0 or something else?
Well, you can do both, but let's do the reconciliation first. The frustration for many of us who are conservatives, particularly fiscal conservatives.
Right. As if why would you have to scissor yourself off, bifurcate away from the rest of the Republican. There's like 9 of these fuckers in the House, and Chip Roy thinks he's one, and he's not. He's not even talking about them. Like he's not talking about the Freedom Caucasians or any of that crowd.
Is the way that reconciliation is being designed is another $95 billion of spending and borrowing with no attempt to actually offset some of that spending. Do you remember, Maria, you and I have done this a couple times over the last couple of months, and we were talking about waste and fraud. None of those waste and fraud mitigation are actually now being put forward in this legislation.
Yeah, I know why. I know why. Real quick. Hey, dude. I'm sorry. I still have my keys on from before. I know why. I'll just check. Hey, shiny thing. I know. I can tell you why. I can tell you why they're not a part of it. I mean, I know the idea is that if you're saving $200 billion, you should be able to just offset the spending. We don't have to spend $200 billion more, and therefore we can decrease the deficit. That this is not a. The savings are bullshit. They're not even offsetting them because they didn't find the fraud and other stuff. They said they found it all. And even if they found some of it, they're going to have to actually go through the courts to determine if it actually is fucking fraud. And that will take years. And it will probably cost more money because they will accuse people in the process of being fraudulent when they weren't. And those people will sue to get their money plus interest and their good name back and all kinds of other shit. And that will be more expensive than the money you would have saved fighting the fraud, which is why they tap the fucking brakes on a certain amount of the shit all the time, because the ROI on this nonsense is pathetic. Does that sound about right? I'm just saying. Is that about right? All right.
And that's why we know.
Even Maria thinks I'm right. See? All right.
Know that, recently the House Freedom.
I'd rather be in Arizona. I don't know if that's a dunk or a fuck you. If I was him, I would write get me the fuck out of here on the bottom of the cup.
Wrote a letter to the speaker urging that any reconciliation 3.0 bill must include strict dollar for dollar and year for year spending cuts to restore fiscal sanity and control the deficit.
That's hilarious.
And the fact that there are no offsets in Reconciliation 3.0 has people on Capitol Hill floating a potential 4th reconciliation bill, which is quite extraordinary.
Gee, it's almost like they've been full of shit. They are full of shit, and their plans are to continue to be. Well, you get it.
Many House and Senate Republicans were disappointed with the prior reconciliation package,
which they're completely in charge of.
What do you say about it?
They're absolutely correct. As of yesterday, if you take the last 12 months, we broke through. We're borrowing now $93,000 every second.
Yeah, it sounds like we work for the Trump organization.
Over the last 12 months.
We'll just get it from Russia, right? They'll just...
We're in real trouble. We're pushing up bond prices. Look at the 10-year yield right now. A lot of that, those pricing is because the United States government is on a borrowing binge.
I got to help you out, buddy. This gesture works really well when you can see your hand. Otherwise, it looks like you're masturbating to the chyron. So I would just try to keep steady your hands, look at the framing, and get that right. Like it's like if I was just making this gesture all the time. See what I mean? Like, if you want to make the gesture, you might want to put them up here. Just that'd be a good idea. All right.
And how do we convince the bond markets that we're serious? Well, you're going to burn.
I don't know. Let Democrats run the economy again because they were fixing it until you came along and did this crap.
One of the, in many ways, last reconciliation budgets. We have to do parts of the SAVE Act. We absolutely need that. But we also need to convince the markets that we're actually going to start to at least make a small attempt to get our fiscal house in order.
Okay, that's him being nice to Mike Johnson and saying we have to work on this. Of course, we have to work on the SAVE Act, but we are spending $93 million a second, and it's kind of blowing my goddamn mind. All right, so slow your hands, simmer down. We haven't opened an Only Hal yet. All right, now let's jump over to another Fox Business angle. Larry Kudlow with the riff. It's called the riff. And it's about the war, I guess, even though it's on Fox Business, because I guess war is big business, and that's where we're going. But he opens with the riff because he's just riffing, baby. This isn't a teleprompter. He doesn't even need him. Just free ball it.
All right. President Trump has crossed his own Rubicon.
Sorry, what? I'm going to need to know what his Rubicon is. And I mean, it obviously didn't take a lot of effort.
And that's the subject of the riff. Let me quote from Truth Social. Very important quote from the president.
Super important. Really important. I'm sure it's crucial. Yep. I'm sure it just rings true.
Every time Iran kills an American soldier, they will pay for that killing many times over.
Okay, so far, not true at all.
This directive has been passed on to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Daniel Kaine, and every leader in the military.
So if it doesn't happen, blame them.
End quote. That from President Trump.
And what form will this killing take? Do we know when we, and how will we even know? Where is it? Hold on. I think we have it here. How will we even know? Nope, sorry. I don't want to say whether.
But didn't he say?
Keep an eye out for.
Nope, that's the wrong one.
The Islamic Republic.
Oh, yeah.
Islamic Republic of Japan.
Here we go. This is the old Benny Johnson one. Where did it go? We had the, when do you want to begin the killings? I have it in here somewhere. That's my fault.
Didn't he say to Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan that Gary Player's historian?
Yes, he did.
Keep an eye out for the end times.
You were with us when it was not as nice.
The
right.
Islamic Republic of Japan.
So taking Tylenol, not good.
All right.
That was his Truth Social today. Let me just say, I fully support him, and I fully support those sentiments.
This is like if Dean Martin did a hostage video.
And to some extent, I think this is a moment of truth for the president with respect to
truth. That's adorable.
Completely destroying the barbaric, totalitarian, Nazi-like regime.
Woof, that's three cutting adjectives in a row.
That is still running Iran. They crossed his red lines.
And that's why he crossed his Rubicon that was on one side or other of the the red lines were on one side or other of his Rubicon. There was a lot of crisscross going on. I don't know. They probably built a cross and set it on fire.
This was not reopening the Strait of Hormuz and continuing to develop their capabilities.
Jesus Christ. I feel like he's going to nod off.
On the nuclear front. Those are the red lines.
Those are red lines.
They crossed them. He is now responding with major force. And this is where the game can finally be ended. Now,
here it comes. The game is up.
It's being reported that the U.S. is increasing.
Thank you, 1960 Demo. And it's good to be back. And I appreciate you guys. And I'm sorry if I have to step away over the next little bit. There's all kinds of stuff going around. A lot of it's family stuff, as you know. Oh, there it is. Thanks, CSL. Way to go, man. Okay, hold on. I have to download it or we can't hear it. That's so stupid of me. All right, where is it? Here you go. Drag this over here. Put it right there.
Islamic.
Nope. Damn it. Where'd it go? I did it. I downloaded it. And then where'd it go? Son of a dog doodle. I'm gonna get that. Okay, now it's down there. Come here, you. Ah, there we go. that it?
You want to begin the killing?
There it is.
How do you want to begin the killing?
How do you want to begin the killing?
Aircraft numbers in the Middle East theater, planning to send additional F-16 and F-35 fighter jets from bases in Europe, plus additional aerial refueling tanker. Also widely reported was the Situation Room briefing with various options such as capturing Carg Island or bombing Pickaxe Mountain. Again, my hope is the president pursues.
Yeah, you do realize that these, first of all, these potentialities, these strategic possibilities are obvious to anyone who's ever fucking played Risk once. You can look at the territory and look at the resources that you know of and that you are, you assume and that kind of stuff. And you can go, all right, if we have to take Carg, it'll take people. We can bomb this place. Probably that's on the table. It should have been on the table on the first day, right? That kind of shit. They might close the Strait of Hormuz. Shocker. Which, by the way, brings us to Patty Murray, who is asking Keg Breath some stuff. Where is it? Here it is. Yeah, no, it's Kennedy. Hold on. Stupid. There she is. Senator Patty Murray asks about his how do we put it? Contradictory statements about the war in Iran, the military operation, the military masturbation activity of choice.
Most Americans, I've had a lot of trouble following this administration's contradictory statements about the war.
And everything else.
On April 8th, you said, and I quote, their missile program is functionally destroyed, launchers, production facilities, and existing stockpiles depleted and decimated and almost completely ineffective.
Yeah, we threw in an almost just to cover our ass. I would like to say for the record, almost is carrying a lot of weight here, but that's a load-bearing word, ma'am.
Mr. Secretary, Iran has been firing at U.S. military bases in the region and its ships for the last week. How is it possible, if their capabilities were, quote, functionally destroyed 3 months earlier, as she claimed, for them to be doing this now?
She should have just played the Maria Bartiromo clip.
Senator, Iran is at the weakest point militarily it has ever been in.
In theory, if you had 10 boats and now you have one, yeah, I guess you're weaker. Does that mean you're less effective? No.
In the past decade, certainly maybe in 47 years, as they've gathered effectively a terror army. And that terror army was built to try to create conventional capabilities to defend against a pursuit of nuclear weapons, which meant thousands of ballistic missiles, many of which we have destroyed.
Many. We don't know how many, but so many that there must be many. I mean, your definition of many, it's well past a few, we hope.
Which they have put inside facilities and hidden in underground facilities. Well, that's what terror regimes would do. So,
yeah, we don't hide anything underground. Right, Montana? What the fuck are you talking about? Sorry, terror regimes hide their military facilities and munitions underground? Where'd they get that idea? Besides us and every other person in the world. What are you talking about?
Knowledge they still have capabilities.
What, again, call them a terrorist regime if you want to, but that ain't why, shitheel.
No doubt. But the amount of damage that we've done to them over the course of these series of operations has put them in the worst place they've ever been.
Okay, well, let me...
Citation needed. We blew up a bunch of shit, so they must be worse off. This is the same logic that Trump uses, like, they're desperate to make a deal. Why? Well, we're knocking the shit out of them. And what if they're like, the more resolved, the more you hit them? You know, like the Joker in The Dark Knight, right?
On May 5th, you claimed that Iran doesn't control the strait, and you said that there was a, quote, powerful red, white, and blue dome over the strait.
Oh, my God. What a douchebag. At least it wasn't a woke umbrella.
If that was true, how did Iran shrink ship traffic?
I did eat adorable at one point. That is true. I ate so much of it, you are what you eat.
In the strait to a trickle again last week.
We pushed almost, I believe, between 400 and 500 million barrels of oil under the nose.
million berries. Was Barry Gibb one of those?
Of Iran over the course of Project Freedom, which went underground.
Project Freedom. We pretended the freedom was gone, and it wasn't.
Which I acknowledged after we did so covertly, because it was more effective to do so quietly than to.
You mean covert? Sorry, covert programs are better if you do them quietly. You think so? So sneaking through someplace in the dead of night is not cowardice; it's covert action. No.
Publicly, so we've been in control.
Yes, I think I can agree that covert actions are best done not publicly if you want them to be effective, unless, of course, you're letting people know about your covert actions because they're really decoys. I've seen spies like us
moving traffic through there for quite some time.
But
they
it
retain the
has
ability to recklessly shoot at commercial shipping, and that's what happened. We had
recklessly.
a ceasefire.
Yeah, they were just, it was like Cinco de Mayo or fucking 4th of July. They were just shooting off in the air, having a great time. Some of them managed to hit the deck / engine room / control room of some ships 800 yards off the coast of Oman. You know, they were just, it was a lucky shot.
And then they shot at commercial shipping.
Well, you
recklessly
also said.
Why recklessly? What the fuck are you talking about? Recklessly is about your, like, they're playing with fire. That's recklessly. That he's trying to boast about himself in the process. That's not the question. They don't think it's reckless. They think it's effective, and they're kind of right. And if you're just like, it's reckless because I'm going to fucking, they're going to cross my line. They're going to get too close. I'm going to have to show them they're being reckless right now. They're like, Fred Wolf and fucking Dumb and Dumber outside the phone booth. He looked at me. It make me mad. I almost like it,
Same press conference, and I'm going to quote you. You urged Iran to, quote, let innocent ships pass freely. These international waters belong to all nations, not to Iran to tax, toll, or control. Last week, President Trump said the U.S. would charge a 20% toll to each ship to pass through the state. So based on your opposition to tolls, did you talk to the president out of that idea, or did someone else?
No. MBS called him and went, fuck you, buddy. If you do that, we're pulling your golf course. That's what that was.
Iran's not charging tolls, and they're shooting at ships right now.
So, sorry, real quick. Think of it as a lead toll. It's a toll explosion. You can pay us, or we'll shoot your fucking tires out, and you won't be able to drive. That's how they enforce the toll. And that's how they make other people pay the toll in the first place. That if we didn't have our blockade back in place, they were still charging tolls for the ships that were going through that we were allowing after we'd opened the blockade. This is so goddamn dumb. Like, he literally has no idea what's going on. Like, I swear to God, I wish someone had simply said, do you know what's in the MOU? Did you read it? Do you have a copy in front of you? Because I would like to ask you some questions about what the president signed and whether or not you agreed with every point in this.
Trump said that he wanted to charge a 20% toll.
We have a blockade right now of all Iranian ships and Iranian ports, and it's effective.
My time.
Yeah, that's I guess you can just jump ship question-wise, just answer a different question entirely. Anyways,
Both.
So lest you think, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and germs, lest you think that Patty Murray is the only one who, poked the bear on this stuff, let me introduce you to a guy who's normally quite aggravating. Somebody said his hair is so trans. Are you looking at a picture of Jesus right now, or Ted Nugent back in the day with his leather pants and his shirt off? Yeah. There's no better way to tell when we've got like a Russian bot in the chat is when they start attacking long hair as a thing. It's adorable. All right. So lest you think it's just Democrats who are giving Keg Breath some shit. Here comes John Kennedy, Foghorn Leghorn himself, who's taking his own sweet time. Now, I'd like to remind you that this man is a lawyer who went to Oxford. Okay? Oxford. He didn't go to like Podunk U and learn and taught himself the law in a old woodsy cabin like Abraham fucking Lincoln. He went to Oxford. Hooty-hoo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all for being here today. General, in the war between Russia and Ukraine, who do we want to win?
Sir, I want Ukraine to win.
That's awesome. That's so clear and direct, and like he's aware of who the good guys are and the bad guys are. This isn't stupid at all. Like it's a hard one for the maggots to swallow. Wait till I tell you what Laura Loomer said on her trip. I don't know if you saw that. Laura Loomer went to fucking Ukraine, and she has completely flipped on this issue. Completely. So that's pretty damn direct.
Is Russia America's friend?
I'm sorry, sir. I couldn't quite hear your question.
Is Russia America's friend?
I think that depends on your definition of friend. I think it's a complicated relationship.
Does frenemy work?
But no, I don't think they're our friends.
There you go. See how easy that is?
Thank you. If we could cut off Russia's cash flow, which depends substantially on its sale of oil, would that help Ukraine win?
So I think militarily, anytime you can restrict resources and cash flows against an adversary,
General, I
that's
have
a good
so
thing.
much respect for you.
Yes, sir.
But I have so little time.
Yes, sir. I'll try to be
Just
briefer.
Give me succinct answers.
Yes, sir. It would assist a.
Would help, wouldn't
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, this is such a normal conversation. It's like that's what you. By the way, there's stuff to be learned from what Kennedy is doing here. As much as he can be a shitheel, get your answers on the record. Yes or no. And now, obviously they get very defensive with Democrats, but with Republicans, they're going to give yes and no answers, and that's on the record.
If we could stop people, entities, and countries from buying Russia's oil, that would help cut off its cash flow, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
We have a bill to do that, as I'm sure you're aware.
Probably not.
We have the votes today to pass it overwhelmingly. I also have enormous respect and admiration for our majority leader, Senator Thune. But I hope everybody on this panel will today contact Senator Thune and ask him to bring that bill to the floor. We should vote on it at a minimum of next week.
Look at this. Just straight up, like, we got a chance to, like, basically help Ukraine survive this. And they're, Russia just bombing downtown Kyiv. I've got 2 friends there right now who are in danger every day. We're going to have Boston Brian on the first hour tomorrow and Phil on the second hour, and they're both in Kyiv right now. So the idea that, whether this is like a broken clock moment, or if he's just, because he's been fairly consistent on this as well, or if they're just doing it to honor Miss Lindsay. The bill is for, this passing on. I think if I know the one he's talking about, it's about the Ukrainian funding that's already been passed and just pushing it out. That's been the president's trying to drag it.
Some of my colleagues, General, want America to just stop in Iran. End the blockade, bring all of our warriors home. What would be the consequences of that, in your estimation?
And now we go back to yellow cake. The clock has started ticking again.
Sure. I think termination criteria is always a political decision. However, I assess that Iran will continue to be a challenge moving forward. So we have to be thoughtful
Will
about
they
that.
put tolls on the strait?
I don't know, sir. That's a decision that's a hypothetical and will depend on what happens
It's not
in the future.
hypothetical. We've got a blockade to stop them.
We do, sir. That's
General,
putting
I want you
economic
to look me
pressure
in
on
the eye.
Iran.
I'm not asking you for, I'm not trying to get you in trouble.
Right. This is Kennedy aware that these guys are really talking to Trump right now.
Know your advice.
They'll slide the Save America Act into that. No, they can't. This is stuff that's would go through with reconciliation because it's already paid for.
So the president
it's an allocation.
It is private, but this is serious as 4 heart attacks and a stroke. Now,
by the way, I think Hal Holbrook did an amazing job playing him in The Firm.
What happens if we come home and end the blockade to the world?
Sir, Iran has the potential to continue to be a threat, and we will need to prepare military
Will they
options
toll
to do
the
that.
strait?
Sir, that's a hypothetical question, and I don't know the answer to that.
Oh, it's not hypothetical. We come home. It's not going to be hypothetical. You know that, General, and I do too. And I appreciate your discretion, but we're down to it.
Mm-hmm.
We need some hard answers and some straight talk. What'll happen, Pete?
Senator, I would agree with the chairman, but the likely outcome is they would try to impose their will on the waterways in ways that the world would not like. Call it a toll, call it a fee, call it an exchange, call it control. They would do something that they would try to hold it at issue.
Probably, what they'll probably do is hand out those yogurt punch cards. It could be that, call it whatever you want. Where every after 9 trips, the 10th one's free.
Would they try to?
The worst part is they'll probably set up a system where when you sail through, when you pay, they keep asking you to get their credit card or join their rewards program. Ugh, I hate when Iran does that.
Commence development again of a nuclear warhead.
Yes, they will commence it again. Mm-hmm.
Part of the reason President Trump had to have the courage to do what he did after Midnight Hammer is that they didn't give up their ambitions, even though their nuclear sites had.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize we were bombing their ambitions. I thought that when you bomb something, it's because the potential is actually there. So we're bombing the dreams out of these assholes?
So this is a regime hell-bent on nuclear ambitions and
hell-bent on ambition. It sounds like the sequel, like the subtitle of the sequel to Wolf of Wall Street.
We need straight answers.
What an asshole.
We need straight answers.
Yeah. Not gay or female or trans answers. We don't need none of them. Who knew?
To destroy whatever is underneath Pickaxe Mountain.
Senator, a lot of our capabilities are classified, but if anybody in the world can reach anything on God's green earth, it's the United States military, the most powerful military in the world. It's all about options and trade-offs.
Yes. If one of those trade-offs is nuking a country that we attacked and setting that as a normalized precedent from our point of view going forward, then yeah, sure. Yeah, we can always, we could do is just nuke it and everywhere around it so nobody could go there for 10,000 years.
I'm going to take a look.
We're that powerful. By the way, power and strength are often determined by how much you don't have to use. If you're using every bit of your strength, you're not as strong as you need to be. You always used to tell, like my taekwondo teacher was like, one of the reasons why you train to kick high is you're like, I'll never do that in real life. That's because in real life, you're going to be tense. It's going to be a terrible situation. And you want to be able to kick at least rib cage height, right? And if you're tense, if you can kick the head when you're comfortable, you can hit ribs when you're in a real tense situation. That's why you do it. So you want your strength to be higher than what you will ever need. And if you're maxing out at this point, and your only other option is just like Russia, like, we might nuke everybody. We'll just fuck it. Let's just go. Maybe you shouldn't be the Secretary of Warts right now. Maybe because you're a dipshit.
Time, because others got it, Madam Chair. I won't abuse it. Secretary, are shrimpers farmers?
Absolutely, yes. They're farmers of the sea.
Are oyster harvesters farmers?
Yes. In this USDA,
They
yes.
having to compete with other countries who grow oysters and shrimp in a ditch and shoot them full of antibiotics?
100% yes.
And
in this country too, right?
And if you eat too much of that foreign shrimp and oysters, you'll grow an extra ear, won't you?
I'm not sure about that, but I know it is not good. And I also know we
Why
import
aren't
90%
we
of our shrimp.
inspecting the shrimp and the oysters from abroad?
Because we never met that broad, and every time we try to talk to her, she throws a drink in our face. Hooty hoo! That's the local issue. That's where he's going with that. For anybody who's like, what the fuck? Where'd that come from? These guys represent states. Louisiana's, oysters and shrimp. So, and they're like, the Chinese are raising these things in a ditch and pumping them full of antibiotics because they have to. But also, like, Louisiana fishermen are getting their fish crops downstream and down the tides from oil rigs. But that's what you say when that's when he got real local. I needed to get that one on the record so I could show my people back at home. I'm talking about. I brought this up with the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs and the Ag Secretary, who was there for some fucking unknown reason. No more war for oysters. So, needless to say, though, I will take the win that he came out as feverishly as he did for Ukraine. And the fact that the bill to help Ukraine is bipartisan not only shows that the support is ubiquitous throughout the representatives in our government, but their own populations, even in the red states. So there. Yes, I'm a content farmer. I just wish they gave me more content instead of the same fucking gibberish. I got to tell you, like, sometimes it's frustrating. I'm like, there's only like a couple of ways to answer a lie, and instead of just like, I'm just going to have to do a character piece at this point. I'm going to need to whip out a puppet because this is getting like Trump's lies are getting fucking boring. And they know it. Like the maggots know it. So here's the other one, too. Fox News is desperately trying to make him look like he's decisive. I'm the decider. And more and more heated. Trump's only Iran option may be escalation. You fucking think? The reason other presidents didn't start this is because once you do, there is nowhere out but through. That's it. Once you do, there's nowhere out but through. And anybody who thought they were going to start anything with Iran on this level and not have to do regime change fully for it to make any sense whatsoever, or so you don't come home with your tail between your legs and give them impetus and support for having a nuke in the future, even if they just buy one from Pakistan. That's why other presidents didn't do this, because it was a stupid move. Ugh, fucking ridiculous. Yeah, but this is very much the plan. Special report, we're specially reporting. It's a special report music. The special report music. Here's a building with tarp. Is he fucking gonna put gold on everything outside?
They've got very little left. They've got some missiles. They've got some drones. They've got some
Yeah. They're obviously short the ones they used to kill our fucking troops in Jordan.
manufacturing ability, not much. We control the strait. They don't control anything.
No one wants.
Yes, they do. If we have to block the strait, and other groups aren't going through because they're being shot at, they have as much control over it as we do. Oh, somebody asked for a Zoltan. Really? That's awesome. Hold on. You're welcome.
To see this regime get a nuclear weapon. But the fact is, this war has not advanced that objective.
They violated the deal with their president's signature on it by disrupting the Straits of Hormuz. And
No, they really didn't. The idea was that they would control it until for the 60 days while they worked it out, and maybe even past that. That's in the MOU.
Obviously, we have been retaliating against that violation of that deal.
Sorry, obviously, why? All I see are huts and barns, and I don't know what the fuck that is. The Loch Ness Monster being blown up in the middle of the night.
Ever since.
New strikes tonight inside Iran. And the question is, will it expand even more?
Yeah. Yes. Just for asshole. Yeah, it will.
To full-scale operations once again. Central Command putting out a statement late this afternoon saying today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S. forces began a new round of strikes against Iran at the Commander-in-Chief's direction. The strikes are designed to further degrade Iranian military capabilities used to attack commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah. Are they doing that, though? I get that they would be designed to do that. I'm fairly certain missiles were designed to go boom. Go far and go boom, I hope. Or maybe even short-range boom. But they were designed to further degrade the Iranian military. Trump really fell into the use of the word degrade and degrading, which is interesting because he spent his whole life degrading everything he's been attached to. But I don't give a fuck what they're designed to do. Are they accomplishing it? Is that a question worth asking?
Secretary of State asked whether the memorandum of understanding with Iran is officially dead.
They're not complying with it. I mean,
we weren't either, shitheel. Look, I read this on the air when it first came out. Look, I understand. Marco Rubio is probably just straight up normal lying. He knows what's in it, and he's bullshitting. Trump, I mean, he signed the Farsi one as far as we could see. So I don't think he knows anything about like what's in it or what isn't. Iran, the 6,000-year-old civilization versus the New York City Trust Fund, baby. Yeah, except both of them are full of shit. The 6,000-year-old civilization is not what's fighting right now. Especially like Islam's only been around since, 1420, somewhere around there. And also, by the way, Iran is the word that gives you Aryan, and the Germans thought very strongly that the Iranians were, allies in sort of a white supremacist world. Just throwing that out there. The Persians themselves as people who had, moved through the Caucasus, giving you the Caucasians.
the straits are supposed to be open, free.
Are they?
Told, free of attack.
Yeah, that's not what it says in the MOU.
Free of all the things they're doing against these ships. So you can't have an MOU that's alive if they're violating the terms of it. And they continue to send signals that they want to talk, that they want to negotiate, but their behavior is...
First of all, wait. Who? Again, who's sending signals, you dumb son of a bitch? If the IRGC is firing on these things and is ignoring any of the negotiations, and the negotiators are trying desperately to call, like, please let us talk, because they're wanting to be the new line of civilian leaders, but the IRGC is actually functionally running the country right now, and they're not listening to the civilian leadership, who gives a fuck what you're talking about. Sorry, 610. So 1400 years ago. I have that right. Yeah, 1490, right? Approximately ish. The point is, the MOU. It is clear that we don't even know who we're negotiating with, and they don't trust whoever we're negotiating with. Both the people who are like, fuck you, we don't like what you signed, and the people who tried to get us to sign it in the first place in Iran, neither of those groups clearly trust Trump. Right?
We're responding to, and their behavior is they're launching missiles and drones against ships.
So let's start there with our panel. Roger Zakheim, Washington director of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute. John McCarthy, former senior advisor for political engagement for President Joe Biden, and Politico Playbook co-author Dasha Burns. All right, Dasha.
I can answer this one again. No deal. What are you talking about? What is this? This is last fucking night. This isn't like 2 weeks ago. This is Brett Baer last night. This time last night.
Obviously, the president has signaled this, that he's going to retaliate every time Iran turns its back on what they're negotiating. And now 2 other.
Yeah. And so do they have the same right when he just blows off shit too? Again, he didn't even read the fucking thing.
U.S. military deaths, which really changed the dynamic.
Did they, though? I don't think they did. That's the weirdest part. I gotta say, if Bush was in charge right now, I would be really fucking concerned if we lost troops in a situation like this, because they would use it as a fucking springboard to double down and go, shock and awe 3.0. The weird part is that Trump is tacoing so heavily that even troop deaths, he's like, was that a big deal though?
Trump always chickens out, so it's gonna be alright. Raise your tackle, take a bite. Trump always chickens out, so it's gonna be alright.
That's what's happening. I find it really fucking weird. They're so afraid because of the oil issue, because of the depleted reserves.
I am not surprised that this is escalating. I was at NATO when President Trump basically tore up the MOU, called the Iranians scum. And from then on, it has gotten more and more heated. And
basically tore it up. You have a fucking copy of it.
Of course, now that you have these 2 deaths, there is very little optionality.
4 deaths.
For this administration.
4. We lost 3 in Jordan and 1 in Iraq. The third one in Jordan, the body was recovered late yesterday, early the day before, depending on who you believe and whatever.
Point now that the MOU is, as Marco Rubio said, not alive anymore or dead, there is only the option of escalating. The question is, how far is that going to go? There is the Israeli counterpart there that does want to see Iran fully demolished, right? And so you have an ally pressing the president to go further, and you have an Iranian regime that, even if they were to be able to get back to the negotiating table, I think it's become very clear that the powers that are coming to the table are not necessarily the ones that control the guns.
Yeah. Hey, look at that. It took her a while. It took a while. It did. I mean, it's Fox News. Just keep digging, and you're like, oh, apples. Like, she's digging for apples. I'm at the bottom of the apple tree, and I'm digging. I will eventually find apples if I dig far enough and underneath the apple. Oh, shit. This is so... there is no other word but exactly.
Time, obviously, Roger, the national average of gas prices goes up, and the new chart is $4 per gallon.
Oh, is the new chart $4 per gallon? You made it hit that magical $4 number that freaks everybody the fuck out, but you don't want to say it that way?
We could go
the new chart.
387. The White House Assistant Press Secretary.
Yeah, like a year ago it was 318. What people miss is the fact that it's like it was up 40 cents or whatever in January from last year.
The U.S. military degrades terrorist Iranian regime's ability to attack commercial vessels, disrupt the free flow of energy through the Strait of Hormuz. Oil and gas prices will plummet back to pre-conflict levels. But
right. And so again, this is either a rush job or it isn't. And if it isn't, what the fuck are we even talking about? If it's going to plummet back to pre-conflict levels as soon as this is over, then I guess the goal would be like end it as soon as possible. Then is that what is this teeing us up? Maybe that's what it is. They're teeing us up for we need a Hiroshima Nagasaki ending to this because that's when things will get better.
Live crude prices, if you look at them right now, it's 83 something, 83.14. But you get a full scale deal and you're back up to 105.
Yeah, I think there is optionality for the price.
You get a full scale deal and you're back up to 105? So if this ends well, it'll be $105 a barrel?
President's question of how much does he want to escalate, and that really matters a lot here.
Really? That's funny. Like that wouldn't, because if that was true, then maybe the founding fathers would have put something in there about, I don't know, asking Congress and trying to talk to the people's representatives, powwow with them, see if it's worth it. If you want to, that's the issue you're in.
What have done is that they escalated horizontally. The death of U.S. service men and women, right?
I've escalated horizontally before. It's a good time. Sorry.
Cause Iran fire.
You asked for it, goddammit. We're having to deal with this same news shit. This is how we're going to deal with it. God damn it. And just because, words are used to lighten a subject does not mean the subject is taken lightly.
There are medium-range ballistic missiles in facilities in Jordan and elsewhere in the Gulf. President Trump has focused the degradation along the Strait of Hormuz on the coast. The question before is, all right, does a target set need to expand? Do we need to escalate beyond that to get at the sources of these attacks? And then a more strategic question is, again, does the president only focus on opening up the Strait of Hormuz? Will he do an expanded project freedom? Or is the president seeking something more fundamental, which is the crumbling, the...
Hey, hold on. First of all, assumes facts, not in evidence, that he fucking can. If they just start dropping mines and shooting rando boats aren't going to want to go through there no matter how much you tell them to. And if the Houthis decide to go after the Red Sea, that's the ball game for a while. And then you want to talk about depleted reserves. Whatever his options are on the table, they also have to fucking work. And I see no evidence that they would.
Of this regime. The latter would be far more expansive than the former of just trying to meet escalation horizontally that we see from the Iranians.
John, it's low-hanging
escalation horizontally. What a dickhead.
Fruit for Democrats
by the way, that's managerial level military hogwash.
To throw grenades rhetorically at the president about this war. But bringing it to an end and having a U.S. objective that everybody sees is really nonpartisan.
Yes, but I think that the White House has demonstrated a lot of activity. I don't know that they've demonstrated a lot of progress, or at least they haven't done so to the American people. I think that the human toll of this, the loss of American service members, really does change things in people's minds, too. They're certainly feeling the economic impact, as you mentioned,
Did he kick his stool, or is there a spittoon in the Fox studio again?
Oil's up to $81 a barrel. We're looking at $4 heading into kind of the summer holiday season. That's something that
we're in the middle of it. We're not heading into it.
Really, hitting Americans in their daily lives. So the president.
We're by the way, that's the point. We're well past it. They bought themselves a window in late June to lower the price. That's what they were trying to do. But we headed into it with rising gas prices, and then in the middle of it, it started to kick back up again. And it's not. There's no reason for it to come down anytime soon. And it's just static until China runs their oil reserves down, which is again bullshit. I don't know why people believe any of that nonsense?
Failed to kind of give strong parameters to this, to kind of bring people along with him. And I just think that he's going to continue to have his numbers hit by this if he's not able to kind of change this narrative to a winning one.
This is not a popular war, but the president right now feels like he doesn't have much choice but to escalate and to continue in this, which puts them in a...
Oh, right. Yes. Why is that? Oh, it's just because he's a fucking moron and he started it.
real political bind.
Yeah. Let's talk politics.
We weren't?
You know, we're not just the only ones covering this bloom of democratic socialists.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Bye. This bloom. Yeah, all fucking four of them. Now tell me about like the MAGA QAnon takeover. Go over to Truth Sinkhole and look at all the maggot QAnons who are freaking the fuck out at Trump. Like, if I don't see some arrests, if I don't see Hillary Clinton, and I'm tired of you saying you like Bill now. What the fuck? Like, go over and check that shit out. All right. Now, perhaps there is a future. Perhaps there's naughty pictures. Perhaps Glenn Beck can tell us what we should even look for. At this point, we don't even know what's going on, but what should we even pay attention to think if we want to find out what's going on, what might be real in this situation? So this is some fucking ChatGPT optimized generic titling if I've ever seen it. The U.S.-Iran war depleted oil reserves in Trump's endgame. What to watch for now? Now, very important word to motivate people. You know, it is it's the drive-by, nipple tweak of thumbnail and YouTube titles.
I'm just looking over some of the comments that have just come in. Joanne writes, Glenn, you continuously preach to the choir. I've heard many, many times we have sweet crude and we can't refine it here because it takes too long to build a new refinery and the greenies won't allow it. Well, sorry, Joanne. Just trying to inform the public, and you might have heard it, but believe me, most of your friends don't know that. That's why,
the greenies in Louisiana and Mississippi and Florida. The greenies, and these are by greenies he means anybody who doesn't want another cancer cluster near them.
The president should be saying this every day.
Yeah, but he doesn't know it / believe it anyways.
Every day, because
he would rather have business with Venezuela for his family so they can have their crypto farms down there and use Venezuelan oil than to open up refineries in the United States for American sweet crude. Sorry, he's a fucking liar and you're a sucker. It's a match made in hell.
Don't know. They all say the same thing. How come our gas prices? Oh, if we have so much oil, how come our gas? That's why.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Doesn't matter. We produce 13.5 million barrels of oil, fuckwad, and we use 22. Fuckwad. Do the math. Even if we refined all of it here, it wouldn't fucking matter. Supply and demand.
And Joanne, if you know it, how many times have you told it to your people, your friends, your neighbors?
Oh, they're sick of hearing it, I'm sure.
You should be sharing this every single day. People are not paying attention.
Yeah, but it's your crowd. They have to not pay attention or they'll notice that Trump was Epstein's wingman.
Here's one. Why don't Lindsay girl? So why don't we just drop a nuke on the Middle East and turn it to glass? Did you hear?
Because Jesus would be upset. Okay.
Hear what I just said about nuclear war? Once anyone drops a bomb, it's over.
Obviously not true post Japan. And after that, the U.S. and Russia spent most of their time nuking themselves. Yeah, we blew up more. We had more explosions on our own land. Yeah.
And it's not me saying that. It's not me guessing. That's the Pentagon doing war games since the 90s.
That's the movie War Games. Greeting, Professor Falcon.
1950s. We have never fought a nuclear war on paper, ever. And people have won. It's
yeah, in a UFC fight between the fittest guy. A dude that's so fit Trump wants to rub his thighs. against, trying to punch out a nuclear weapon with or without Slim Whitman riding on it, the UFC fighter loses every time.
Oh, it always ends the same way. So no, we should not drop a nuke. Daryl, boots on the ground should be Gulf troops. Agree. Those countries should take out Iran, which is a threat to them. Agree. 100% agree. J-Man, for real.
Oh, you mean, so Israel has nukes, they should nuke them.
This is a
If we nuke them, it's terrible. But if Israel nukes them, it might be our only way out. Wait for that talking point to show up in the next couple of weeks.
War. You're not going to win.
Sorry, it was Slim Pickens. You're right. It wasn't Slim Whitman. Sorry.
Cannot win a war against.
Thank you. Thank you for fixing that. There's so many Slims out there back then that I sometimes get my Slims. I've never mixed them up with Virginia Slims. So I figure that's a plus.
We're only negotiating, Chip, is to destroy the world or we'll do it for you. Yes. So that is great observation. Now you're president of the United States.
Well, God willing, one day.
What do you do?
A lot, actually. I think I treat medical issues as fervently as we've treated foreign invaders or the prospect of terrorism, in that, the chances of you being shot by a terrorist or blown up by a terrorist is, partly because of our military ability, but certainly very low compared to the idea that you would get a disease that would take your life or your fortune or your family from you and that kind of thing. So I would focus on that with equal fervor. I would have sort of a World War II buildup to try and cure all diseases, the revive the Biden cancer moonshot, that kind of stuff, and treat it as important as we would, the potential yellow cake threat from some rando country at any given time. Is that? That's a good start. The other thing is that I would focus on advanced technology and getting us to where that technology can repair and modernize our infrastructure as fast as possible, so the people that do that could do other jobs of choice, things that are built on design and taste and those kind of things. So, they could, we'd have some really nice new Chrysler buildings or whatever, that kind of stuff. That could happen because those workers would go there and do that, because we wouldn't need them tightening a fucking lug nut on a bridge in Pennsylvania every couple of weeks. That's just for starters, obviously, that, and, infusing technology into all of our schools, making sure they have the highest level of it, making sure every student has a baseline that advances to at least, available tools and books and learning and skills and teachers available to them as the best ones have today, as quickly as we can make that happen. One of the things I would do, and this is interesting, this would be, I would run on this, is a part of my budget that would be I will veto my first budget if it does not include funding to test every rape kit in every state of the union. We will give grants directly, results-based grants, to states so that they have the funding, even if it means setting up labs and getting them up and running, if it's that level, because those labs will be able to do something else after they finish the backlog. Hopefully the process, they won't have ongoing numbers in equal measure, which they won't, but just clear any backlog nationwide. That would be, I would insist on that in my first budget. And if I could allocate funds from already budgeted money that the administration, you have that little wiggle room that they put that, you have a little bit of extra money to spend. If there was enough funding in there to do it, I'd do it. And if there was a $10 billion that was available in the budget, I would put to the test the adage that we could solve homelessness with $10 billion. I would bring all the people who say that that's what it would cost, that have been working on it or believe in it, into a room, along with obviously the builders and the people at Habitat for Humanity and that kind of thing. Okay, we got $10 billion. Here's the budget. Let's fucking go. That would be one of my sideline spends. If you could solve it, if you really could do it for $10 billion, I'd fucking rubber stamp that in a second. And I would also push for a public option in the, like, reshoring up ACA and put in a public option, because if you can have public education, private education, you can have public, get police and firemen, and you can also have private security and your own sprinkler system, then you should be able to have a public and a private option when it comes to health insurance and care. Just for starters. I think that would. Does that sound all right to everybody? Chat room, does that sound all right to everybody? Just throwing that out there. As platforms go, fuck this guy. As platforms go, that's where I would start. That's where I would start. And the interesting thing is that it would involve a buy-in from the states that would not require new taxes to do it. It would be a coordination exercise by the federal government working with state governments to provide this material support in a way that's fiscally responsible to the state, so that if I got impeached for being too sexy, the program would still exist in the state beyond that. Instead of being in a situation where you're trying to solve a problem like the Dreamers with DACA, and then everybody's trying to kill it when you leave. So what you want to do is get something that's sustainable for the state, and providing a coordinating effort that you could make up for it. And a lot of that would be in computers in classrooms, AI support, that kind of stuff. The valuable part of that with teachers and using that for a myriad of things, and localize that AI again, so you don't need a giant data center and you're not giving Anthropic and OpenAI $1 forever. You would develop it for the states with working groups, using employees of the federal government that already do a job. That's their job. This is just another task for them to focus on that will help in that area. Does that any of this sound reasonable? Okay, excellent. Somebody remind me to put that on my website as my platform for 2028. Along with, of course, the Sparksist Megafesto, which is the book I'm going to be releasing before, when I run, which will have my economic theory, which isn't really an economic theory any more than the circulatory system of the human body is a theory. I'm just here to tell you, sorry, communists, sorry, laissez-faire psycho Peter Thiel capitalists. A mixed economy is the only thing that ever works. The only thing that ever works. Some shit's always going to be public because there's no private interest and profit in doing it. Some shit will always be private because you'll never have the public's buy-in to get it off the ground. And in the middle, there's what I call the economic DMZ, the demilitarized zone of stuff where it might be public or it might be private, and we've got to work that out. One day it might be completely private, but it needs help getting off the ground by the government. That would be your electric cars, supportive grid, high-speed internet for, in the rural areas. That's where the public part of it tips over eventually into private, where it doesn't have to, taxpayers don't have to rely on paying for it anymore. In the same way that the internet was created by the government and turned into the internet, which then spread privately throughout the country and created a balance. And then you just make sure you make up for the gaps in it as best you can. The federal government will be in charge of making up for those gaps that will always exist. And then you'll have a partnership with the states or private or NGOs that, in the middle for the stuff that's debatable. Not everybody's bought into wanting to be taxed for that. Not everybody thinks it's a valuable use of their funds or interest them. So that stuff you're going to have to work out just to get it done. Yeah. Is Hassan going to call Hal a shit lib? I could care fucking less. The dude has terrorists on his fucking show that had current hostages. He talked to that fucking Houthi asshole. He was talking about how he was dancing with the Chinese hostages and they were so happy to be there. What do you think they're going to do? Yell? Get their fucking feet burned? What an asshole. Oh my God. Fucking... it's like these second generation rich kids. How is he any fucking different than Trump? Good Lord. No, it sparks Biden 2028. Hunter's going to run as my VP because I think America could really use an addict on the mend as a leader in the country, because there's a lot we could learn from addicts who've worked their shit out. You know what I mean? Like that. We have a lot, I've never done anything. I've never done drugs. I've never smoked any of that shit. And I'm never going to. So I have a value that comes from that life experience. But there's also a value in life experience from people who've been through that shit and made it through. And he's a great example of somebody who did. And America is addicted to so much shit that having an addict to help lead some of these programs and do things might be perfect. I know what it's like to keep doing something you shouldn't do because you're driven to do it, and therefore I think I can help us get away from it. You know what I mean? So, anyways, on that note, back to whatever the shit this is. This is, by the way, the reason when Glenn went to fucking the comments section in this is because he's just running out of turd polish.
What do? You know that. You can't win. You can't win.
Yes, I can. I can win. I could totally win.
Because they'll destroy the world. So,
I thought you were talking about my run for president, not nuclear war. And who are they?
That's what I'd like.
Hype train. Thank you guys on Twitch. Getting lively over there. Somebody probably needs to go into Hassan's chat room and tell him I said, fuck you. That'll, at least drive some traffic our way. Not clout mining some asshole on Twitch.
So we don't fight it. Mr. President, then they will get a nuke and they will use it and they will destroy the world.
Or they'll get it and they'll use it as like Russia does with this threat of mutual assured destruction that allows them to fuck around with anybody they want to. And if you try to push back on it, they'll threaten to blow you up. They're not going to nuke. First of all, one of the most holy sites in Islam is in Israel. The idea that they're just going to fucking nuke it and go to the other side is dumb. They just want protection. That's what a nuke is these days. That's all it actually is. The threat of possibly using it is so devastating that just having one protects you from somebody else being able to finish you off if they decide they don't like you. And with the greater Israel theory folks floating around, you can understand why why the Iranians, good or bad, the entire spectrum of leadership would believe that, right? In the same way that the leadership of Israel, good or bad, would believe this about Iran to some degree, if they didn't have a nuke, for example.
But you just told me.
Which they do.
We can't fight to win. Right. And that's absolutely true. You can't win this war because they're all bat crap crazy.
All right, so we've, again, we're back at war games. The only way to win is not to play.
Okay, so we're not going to fight. Well, then they have a nuke. Well, then we're going to fight, but you can't win. What do you do as president of the United States? See, this is the thing. Everybody likes to armchair this. They like to just sit at home, think about it and I'm not saying that.
Well, I'll tell you what they do is to spend 2 years and change signing an actual functional denuclearization deal with Iran, with the Russians actually not just buying in on the down low, openly coming out in support of it with the idea of normalization of Iran and its trade with the rest of the world, and successfully doing that. But the problem with that is some asshole might come in and just rip the deal up because it doesn't have his name on it.
You, J-Man, for real. People you know, they will armchair this, and they have put all of maybe an hour, maybe, if we're lucky, an hour's worth of thought into this since the war began.
Okay, he's talking about his listeners and viewers, by the way, all 9 of them.
And they'll say, well, we shouldn't fight it because you can't win. Okay, great. I agree with you. We can't. But they can't have a nuke. So what do you do? That's why this president is fighting it the way he's fighting it.
No, he's fighting it the way he's fighting it because he has no idea if the objective is possible, if it actually was necessary, if it's not just about jacking the price of oil temporarily because they know it's a dead product.
He's got to keep gas prices down. He's got to keep.
Well, he's doing a great job.
The price of oil down. He's got to keep it off the front page so the world doesn't freak.
If it's being executed properly for the purpose of the world, and he's the greatest salesman ever. He's the you're fired guy. He's all merit and you know, all killer, no filler, right? If he's all those things, why the fuck wouldn't you want it on the front page every goddamn day?
He's got to cobble together the allies, which he has done in the Middle East.
He didn't cobble them together. There's a Sunni and Shia divide that's been going on since 1614 or 614, since 1400 years plus, 1497, whatever it is.
Say the troops in the Middle.
I'm doing the math quick.
Middle East should come from the Middle East. You're right, and that we have a chance of that for the first time in history. We have a chance that they might be the ones that take it because he has spent years now putting together that coalition.
Oh, fuck you. We had a chance for all this shit a long time ago. We really did. We were in the process of moving from leaded to unleaded gasoline, and the idea that we would move towards more efficient vehicles and then eventually hybrids and all that kind of stuff. And Jimmy Carter putting fucking solar panels on the roof of the White House. And the idea, because we were being held hostage by Middle Eastern oil on the regular, and they had an outsized control over our economy and our safety because of that. If we'd have continued on that path instead of just falling back into this bullshit because of Reagan and Bush's friendliness with the Iranians in particular, we would have been well past this a long time ago, because the physics of renewables hasn't changed in the last 50 fucking years. Do you understand? Solar panels, if we'd have started working towards improving those things at the clip we were going on in the late 70s, we would get to where we are with efficiencies in solar panels right now. We would have gotten there in 1988. If we'd have supported the electric car grid and the growth of that, and we didn't pulp the electric car, in the early 90s, if you want to watch Who Killed the Electric Car, if we hadn't done that, then, and because we knew that it was a national security issue, the Middle East we would be dealing with wouldn't have a power base. They wouldn't have a leverage point. They would have to behave and participate in the rest of the world because they wouldn't have oil as a driving factor. In the same way that, I showed that clip with Senator Kennedy earlier where he's like, if we cut off Russia's oil, would that slow them down in Ukraine? You bet your ass it would. Same thing here. If we stop needing oil, and not because we're now dominant and we can use our own, just fucking pare it down to nothing. Right? Just like everywhere we possibly can, don't use petroleum-based fuel for anything. Improve our grid, renewables, nuclear, tidal, geothermal, everything we could possibly, cook together, and then natural gas as the primary driver until we can make that full transition as the technology catches up. If that was our goal, that was our Marshall Plan for our own goddamn country, then our concern about the Middle East and that area would diminish every 6 months. It would be like a half-life. It would cut in half by every 6 fucking months, because that technology, that growth, that advancement would spread to other countries. The Western countries in the developing world would adopt it first, but then it would eventually spread like everything else does to the rest of the world. And it's super crucial. I'm like, if we had spent all of our time that we focused on the war on terror and selling it and funding it and all this stuff, fighting cancer, and had gotten, had a limit, gotten as close to a cure as we are right now 10, 15 years ago, You think we'd have this many enemies in the fucking world? We wouldn't even need, Trump wouldn't have a reason to run. The ingenuity and the adventurism of Americans, both naturally born and people who immigrate here to this day, because of that's what they want to do, is being pissed away with these like macho dickhead military exercises all the time. The drug war. We surrendered the drug war. We didn't like win it or lose it. We surrendered. And we decided that the cost of all these fentanyl deaths was a price we were willing to pay. That was the public's decision after a while. And in some cases, I would argue that that a lot of people were just like good riddance. Ugly as that is. Again, that's me being nice because I don't assume people are as stupid as their actions.
So that's a really great solution, but that doesn't happen overnight. And it
right. That's why the JCPOA, or as Trump calls it, JCPOC, because AOC lives rent free in his head, and so does Obama. That's why it took 2.5 years. And a lot of negotiation, not just with Iran, but with the rest of the world to pressure them as well. Their allies, namely Russia, which is obviously they are, by and large, or were for a time, a sock puppet of.
Happen without leadership. And we're the only ones that have the forces. However, we're also not alone in not having the money, not having the oil. You know, Jason, can you give me the research that you just did on the reserves? This is the most critical thing you need to understand.
He's going to get into the strategic petroleum reserves. Is he going to point out that Trump's been pumping that shit out at a super high clip to keep the price down?
We are fighting with one hand tied behind our back. Why, Jason?
Yeah, the IMF is predicting now that as of now, global oil reserves are, I think the direct quote was, completely tapped or spent. That's one of the ways that we were able to keep prices down, as everyone was dipping into the reserves. We got a little bit of that back during the MOU, but just looking at now, per information that has been released.
This is the Glenn Beck program, by the way, dealing with the reality that Donald Trump is a fucking sociopath and a moron, and he's always been one, but now he's got dementia too. Will I cut my hair if I run? No, I'm pretty sure I'm going to wear an outfit like Zaphod Beeblebrox. Yeah, which is, if you don't know, is sort of like a tan and silver jacket that's kind of like Prince's purple coat, and have my hair flowing like a fucking Viking. If Trump can get if he can get elected with that fucking piss-colored cotton candy on the top of his head and his flabby nunt and his pants on backwards, don't give me shit about my cool rocker clothes.
The status quo of dipping into reserves has gone back to the way it was. So a planned 172 million barrel release to offset shortages and support prices is now in effect. I'm not sure if that's just here or if that is in multiple places, multiple different countries, but weekly draws towards from the strategic reserve.
Weekly draws
are now.
Who's that behind him? Orson Welles? I think it's a young Orson Welles. Yeah.
Commencing again. So we are on a very tight.
I don't know why. It's super weird. Orson Welles is looking at 2 laptops.
Timeline for how long we can do this for sure.
How? Look, we were doing 4 million barrels a day. 4 million barrels a day.
Wow. It seems like idiots are in charge. Gee, I wonder who voted for them.
That's how much we were releasing. if we try to refill it at top speed, less than 800,000 barrels can be put into it. So you're taking 4 out. If you were putting the maximum back in, it would only be 780,000.
Oh, and it'll be more expensive than when Biden bought it, by the way. Because if you'll recall, when oil prices went through their janky period, he sold a bunch at 90 when it was at $90 a barrel, and then he bought it back at 40, refilled a lot of it. There was articles in Bloomberg about how Joe Biden might be the greatest oil trader in history.
Okay. That means to refill from where we are, we don't get back to a comfortable, okay, we've got our oil reserves, we're good. We don't get there till 2033. And that's if this president, the next president, and the president after continue to do it at top speed.
Yeah, well, Trump's obviously not. He's going to drain the shit out of it because he's figuring if he can get through this hump and he really believes that prices are going to crater and there's going to be too much of it anyways, and you'll just buy it really cheap at like $10 a barrel when it fucks up again like it did during COVID, then they'll refill it then. I won't be around. Trump is in total smoke 'em if you got 'em mode.
The odds of that. And we're the ones who are in the best situation out of all of them. China is way behind on their oil reserves.
No, they're not. They currently have 1 billion barrels, or like they stacked up 1 billion too, is the story. I heard some assholes saying they had 2 billion barrels, which is nonsense. But they're not. The issue that a lot of people have with like parsing out with China, it has to do with like the math I was doing the other day about the cost of gas in the country, that while it is more expensive in California by $1 than it is in West Virginia, it hurts West Virginians more because they make about half of what the average Californian makes. So they can't fucking absorb it. It's way worse for them, right? Everything they need to get around and all that kind of shit. And they got farther to go. If you live in a city, you can take a fucking bus comparatively. But like in West Virginia, if you're in the sticks and that's the one way you get into town to get groceries and back out, you're kind of fucked, right? And if the average is 60,000 a year, whereas the average in California is 101,000, that dollar difference is a huge lifestyle ding. Hold on, let me back this up. To here.
The odds of that. And we're the ones who are in the best situation out of all of them. China is way behind on their oil reserve.
Again, the one part that he's missing here is that the idea is that China has 1 billion barrels in reserve, in theory. That might also be bullshit, but let's give them that number. If it was 1.2 billion when this shit started and they've been taken down and they've also been allowed to buy it from other places, and maybe they bought some from us and some bullshit about Alaskan oil and yada, yada. But that amount of oil is, people are like, oh my God, that amount of oil won't help if you have if 1.4 billion people. But they fucking don't. Their population's definitely under 800 million and more than likely lower than that. And then they've got an aging population who don't drive and don't go anywhere. And the younger population that live in a city can't afford a car. That's why the bullet train's everywhere. So where's that oil being used? So they can stretch that out over a long time. That's why it has been so resilient, not because they've got 5 billion waiting for their 1.4 billion people. It's because that's gone. Those people are gone. So the drawdown from the oil is lower because the people don't exist.
Europe is almost out of oil reserves. That's what the president is dealing with now.
Well, fuck him. That's part of his problem. Also, what's this going to cause? More demand destruction. The Europeans have already been moving towards electric vehicles. If China has a toehold in taking advantage of this for the time being, it's certainly that their vehicles are getting into Europe and certain countries much faster, rather than sitting in fucking fields rotting in China because of this demand destruction. People don't want gas to drive their car. They don't want to have to rely on it. They don't have to worry about it. And it's already more expensive over there than it is over here.
Everybody didn't take their oil reserves seriously. Joe Biden screwed with our oil reserves for political reasons. So
oh, did he? He screwed with them in the middle of fucking COVID? Tell us about the politics of COVID, Glenn, you tit.
We drained our oil reserves. Now when you actually need it to fight a war, we don't have it. And if we run out of oil, they run out of oil, China runs out.
Donald Trump could have bought oil. I don't even know if you call it oil. People would have paid the United States $25 a barrel to take oil off their hands during 2020. But Trump didn't want to do that because he thought it was, bad for oil companies in the middle of fucking COVID.
Oil. Europe runs out of oil. What happens?
We have to find something else and act as if oil never existed in the first place and move to electrical and natural gas as fast as possible. Hydrogen cars come on market much quicker. Gasoline cars become boutique for a period of time, and people are working from home again for a couple of years, just like it was COVID all over again, which they're already comfortable doing. I don't know, just spitballing.
What happens? The world stops. You think COVID was economic shock. You haven't seen anything when ships not being held back, ships and airplanes and everything else don't have the fuel to fly.
How is this different than like the period after Mount St. Helens went off? Remember that? Where all the planes were down because there was too much ash in the sky?
That's the situation that we are nearing. And there's no good answer to this. And
yeah, there is. But it was years ago when you guys were fucking with everybody that said, hey, maybe we don't want to rely on this limited fuel source that oftentimes comes from people who want to kill us.
That's why, I'm
stupid, an asshole, ignorant, a blowhard.
I'm not coming to you with an answer.
What else is new? Oh, man, I am. How many answers have I given in this? Like, it's not that hard. I've got plenty of prescriptions, and they would fucking work. This is, if there's ever been a more classic example of Republican, like, psychoeconomics and politics, it's, I'm not coming to you with any answers. I'm just saying we got to start asking some questions. Fuck you, buddy. There are plenty of testable and proven shit that works while you work on a better solution at the same time, you lazy asshole. Why is this so much work? Why? God damn. And again, he's an example. He's exactly like these shitheads. They're all the fucking same. All the maggot guys like, I don't know. He's got to trust the plan, I guess. I don't have solar, wind, geothermal, micronuclear. That's where you start. Natural gas will run your city's transport for a while, and the electrical grid. You focus on that mainly. You shift away from all imported petroleum that you have to refine for your own use immediately, as fast as you fucking can. And guess what? All of that fuel will go someplace else. And so in Africa and other places, they're going to use it and they're going to burn it and they're going to make stuff with it and all that kind of stuff. But you won't be reliant on whether the cost goes up or fucking down. And you'll have a section of your industry, like in Texas and other places, that produce this oil and they sell it. And they, like any other stock, will have to deal with the reality of, is there too much of your product or not enough? And it's none of our fucking business. And it doesn't, like everybody else's business in the fucking country, doesn't have to hang on like white knuckle whether your business is doing well. Why would you why would you continue to construct a system like this? Because you think fucking gas combustion engines sound fucking macho. It's lazy. It's weak. It's anti-freedom. You want to talk about lashing yourself to the fucking grid? I've said this a bunch of times, but like and again, this is one of the areas where I'm, when people make fun of Cybertrucks, I'm like, whoa, tap the brakes. You may think they're funny and all that kind of stuff, but it's a miracle that the people that are driving them are driving electric cars. Holy shit. The fact that they are driving those cars, I don't care, man. Take the fucking win. But all of us should be moving towards that easier, right? All of us should be, there should be that, like the tax breaks that made it easier for people to buy an electric car that Trump took away, made us more reliant on this fuel source that we have to import because we can't refine the stuff we make here in our own places, exactly like what he was talking about. That's why you don't do it. You might have a goal not to ever do it. You might have a goal to one day be able to refine your own oil and go, hey, you know what? We're going to move towards only being able to do sweet crude here because that's what's naturally in the ground. So the rule will be if you're going to build a refinery or replace one or retool one, it has to be for the shit that's in the country so that we don't have to worry about it being outside the country. That would be a fucking plan. That would be a strategy. That would be intelligent. Instead of, I don't fucking like it. Let's just, oil and gas, we're doing it 100%. And we'll get mad about the fact that we can't refine that shit here. But it just means we're going to have to bring more in as you dive more into this. For the foreseeable future, we're stuck with it. They have no fucking long game at all. But Glenn loves to talk about China's, 2030 and like MBS has a fucking Saudi Arabia 2050 thing. Both of which are nonsense, by the way, and are an example of desperation. Both in the case of China and Saudi Arabia, both of them are aware that their main engine of their economy is going to be gone. So they're going to need something completely new or going to have to shift to something else or they are fucked. Labor is cheaper in Mexico right now than it is in China. Let me say that again. Labor is cheaper in Mexico right now than it is in China. And the standard of living in Mexico for those workers is higher than it ever was in China. When's the last time you heard about a Mexican factory worker jumping out the third floor dorm window of the place they're not allowed to leave because they have to work 3 shifts? Besides maybe some sort of cartel situation. You don't hear it because it doesn't exist. All of these things. I honestly don't know why it's so hard to sell normal, solid ideas to some of the more belligerent dickheads in our, maybe because I'm calling them belligerent dickheads. Maybe that's the problem. Yeah, they don't want to listen to me. Because the shoehorn crowd, the overlapping far left and far right, the fucking crust that thinks it's the pizza, those folks are so goddamn noisy, you forget who you're talking to. But the vast majority of people in this country, if you have a sit down with them and really commit to working shit out, you'd be surprised on the overlap. And then you can draw lines where you're like, okay, agree to disagree. Let's just kind of do a, first do no harm plan, right? All right, where was I in this stupidity?
I'm trying to explain the situation.
You're not. Stop. You're explaining the pretend situation.
So our friends can start taking this seriously and stop saying Orange Man bad.
Okay, fuck you. Nope, you don't get to divert to this Democrat antagonist idea. You're not talking about us, you dumb son of a bitch. You're not talking about Democrats right now. The people he's describing who are bitching about this, who are armchair quarterbacking the Iran war and all this kind of stuff, are Republicans. They're his viewers. They're people in his chat room. You, Orange Man bad. Well, I don't give a fuck what he sprays his face with. I give a fuck that he was Jeffrey Epstein's wingman for 25 fucking years. His only 2 real friends were Roy Cohn and Jeffrey Epstein. Both dead pedophiles for some reason. He described Jeffrey Epstein as a lot of fun to be with. And apparently it took him over 2.5 decades to figure out the guy was a pedophile, and he still was letting him into Mar-a-Lago, even though he said he kicked him out, which is a bullshit story that Glenn still sells. Never mind the fact that he bankrupted his casino, a bunch of Trump steaks, Trump University, Trump vodka, Trump football and airlines. He can't do shit. He's a second-generation rich kid, just like Tucker Carlson, born with a silver spoon up his ass. The bullshit spray tan goop he puts on himself that I guess he applies with some sort of like hand spray is just funny. It's just fucking embarrassing and hilarious. There's a lot about this motherfucker that is genuinely disgusting, Glenn. The fact that he's orange has very little to do with it. He's an unrepentant sexual abuser. I hate this shit where they're just like, Democrats won't play nice with us. They don't like it. They don't like saying name. They don't like him because of who he is. Okay. Tell me who he is. Is he the no new wars guy? Is the I'm going to cut energy prices in half guy? Is he the affordability is a hoax guy? Is he the Jeffrey Epstein was a lot of fun to be with, or I never really knew the guy? Is he the I wish Ghislaine Maxwell well because of what happened to her boyfriend in prison? Is he that guy? Is he the grab him by the pussy guy? Or is he the guy who doesn't have a favorite Bible verse even though it's his favorite book? Is it that, or is it the guy who believes that he doesn't have to be repentant for anything, which is antithetical to every piece of Christian doctrine that exists? Who is he? I'll just call him like the big fucking circus peanut. If your fixation on him being orange, which obviously bothers you, is your projection onto me. But I got to tell you, I got a lot of ammo about why this guy is a terrible person. And it seems to be dawning on these fuckers every day. Maggots all over the media. Fuck, hold on. Let me see if you can find this. Megyn Kelly had this flip out about, I don't like it that the president, corrupt crypto, whatever. She was like, I don't like it that the president is, well, it was recent too. Where was she? We might be able to find it clear this month. Was it something like that? It's grifty. This is the... This might be another. Hold on. I want to find the raw clip of it. But it's difficult. Let's see if I can do this. 1 second. Yeah, see, here's the Hill has a clip of it. Hold on. This is Megyn Kelly. Here you go. This is Megyn Kelly waking up to this. Market 250.
I'm disappointed with some aspects of the Trump presidency, for sure. Like the Iran war, that's number one.
Like the Iran war, that old chestnut.
It's so grifty. I'm not going to lie, it's grifty. The Trump family is grifty. There's been like story after story about all the money that his sons are making off of the government, these government contracts they're getting, all that. I can't stand that stuff. Grifty.
Yeah, by the way, she cut off the part where Megyn said, I didn't like it when I didn't like it when Hunter Biden did it, and I don't like it when he does it. Okay, first of all, Hunter Biden didn't fucking do it. Having a job because of your name is not grifting off the presidency. If somebody hires you because you're related to the president, because your name is trustworthy because of that, even if your dad's name is so trustworthy, even though you're a crack addict, they're like, He won't run off with our money like the last 9 guys on the board did. He can't, or the president will have to answer for it. That's why he got that job on the board. It wasn't because they were seeking favor with the Biden administration. What the fuck kind of natural gas deal is the Ukrainian natural gas fields having with the United States? Zero. There was investment coming in to rebuild their natural gas sector after Yanukovych, the Russian fucking sock puppet who escaped in the middle of the night, took a car and then a helicopter and then a private plane and now lives in Russia under Putin's protection. After that guy left, they were trying to rebuild and normalize the place. And part of the way they were doing that was like, if people want money, if they're going to, if they want to invest in Ukraine, we got to trust that it's not going to be stolen like it is in Russia or like it was under Yanukovych. And so having Biden on the actual board basically guaranteed that all he had to do was sit there and make sure the money was going where it was supposed to go. And you know what? It fucking did. The natural gas sector in Ukraine grew like it was supposed to. He didn't have to know anything about natural gas. He just had to be a guarantor. That's what he was. That's why they wanted his fucking name on the board. But what else did he get? What did he get? Besides hookers and blow, I guess. What did he get from that Ukraine deal? What did Ukraine get from us? I mean, I guess the sales point with maggots was that's why we were supporting Ukraine against Russia after we pushed Russia into invading them, which is just fucking insane. Like at this point, so see if she goes. See if this is in here.
When I was deplatformed and when my election was rigged because the big tech social media companies wouldn't allow me to have access to social media, RT started reaching out to me and asking me to come on their show. And they said, why don't you have a byline on RT? And you can even write for RT. I never took any money from RT. I was never paid. But I felt, wow, how crazy is it?
They must pay by the clicks too.
That my own government won't allow me they're not fighting for me when the big tech social media companies are deplatforming my campaign and they're not allowing me to have a voice, but RT will let me talk about these issues, right? And then you start to get kind of goaded into saying things like, oh, well, maybe they care more about free speech than my own country.
That's hilarious. I'm sorry, why were you goaded into that? You dough-headed shitheel?
Wow, Putin made a comment about how they stole the election with mail-in ballot fraud. And so you make comments that are pro-Putin. And I made a lot of those comments. I said, wow, he's 100% right about needing to denazify Ukraine. And I recognize that I said, wow, he's openly criticizing the big tech social media companies for rigging the election against Donald Trump.
And social media companies can't rig an election because people have free will and they can look at something and go, I believe that, or I think that's bullshit. And whenever somebody tells you that the big tech companies or the media is influencing you and influencing the American people, and that's how they're rigging the whole thing. They're basically saying everyone's dough-headed except them. Notice how these fuckers all went to public schools, except for Tucker, I guess, all went to public schools, and all of them watch a shit ton of YouTube and a shit ton of media because they're always citing CNN. They're always citing the New York Times, right? They watch all that stuff, but somehow they're not under the spell like the rest of us dumbasses. Meanwhile, when it turns out that the things the media were saying that they reported were true, they're like, I'll be damned.
And, while I'm glad that he said those things, part of me wonders, did he actually mean it? Or is this part of the psychological operation to try to co-opt the after 10 years of being told that there was Russia collusion and,
Yes, that would be some of the Russia collusion, dummy.
Like a Russian interference scandal in our elections. And then we all got Russia fatigue and we started to get really sick and tired of people who would constantly attack Russia for everything. And a lot of us just became overly sympathetic to Russia and we put the blinders on because we just thought.
Oh, we did? Did we? Who's this we? Sorry, because are you including like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens in this? Because they just got fucking all expense paid trips and a bunch of fucking crypto on the down low, I bet, for going there.
Oh my God, anytime anybody mentions Russia, well, this means that, they're trying to spew propaganda against Donald Trump and the conservative movement, and they're calling us Russian bots. They called us all Russian bots, remember? And I remember.
No, you weren't called a Russian bot. You were never called a Russian bot. The Joe the Plumber 1776, that was called a Russian bot, especially when they couldn't understand sarcasm or irony. They didn't actually have good grammar. I mean, that could possibly be an American, but less and less, especially if they do this a lot. And they were on 24/7, as if maybe 3 people were running the goddamn account.
Even confronting Jack Dorsey during the Twitter hearing, and I said, we are not Russian bots. We are conservative Americans. And you started to sympathize with the Russians because they
You did? You did? Which you were you talking about?
They would call people like me a Russian bot. They would say that we were not real people. We were part of a Russian bot campaign to support Donald Trump's 2016
You're a verified account. What the fuck are you talking about?
campaign against Hillary Clinton. But now when I see them say things like we need to denazify Ukraine and we need to continue our brutal war with Ukraine while they pretend to be, some Orthodox Christian country, but they're slaughtering thousands, like hundreds of thousands of young Christians in Ukraine. And then they're supporting actual neo-Nazis in the United States of America.
What do you know? This is, look, I will take the awakening however it happens. And all of these people, when they finally realize how much bullshit they were spewing, they have a real hard time, just coming right out with it. And so they do this like soft landing, like we were trying our best and we really believed in the president's plans and there were a lot of things and we just got, you get lulled into a false sense of security. And we were told all these awful things. So it was natural that all that stuff so that she can get to the fucking point, which is you were had. And I don't know if this is a broken clock moment because this is one of those clock moments that stays broken.
Flipping their podcast, I'm like.
And by the way, somebody's asking who this is. This is Jigsaw this is Laura Loomer, a woman who allegedly bragged about filleting the current president during the last campaign on his plane. Allegedly. I'm okay.
Wow, we fell for Russian propaganda, and I fell for Russian propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
hey, real quick, what's the odds that you might apologize to those of us that were going, hey, you're spouting Russian propaganda, dum-dum. It's not true. It's a lie. You just found out it was a lie. Maybe the Christian thing to do would be maybe she will. Maybe she will. You know what? Maybe I'm judging too quickly. Maybe she will go, you know what? I owe all the people that I called Russia, an apology.
And Loomer Unleashed had this opportunity to send a correspondent abroad to Ukraine to be embedded on the front lines of the war and meet with Ukrainian officials. And there were multiple U.S. senators there at the Odessa Security Conference. And Andrew asked me whether I would approve a correspondent to go to Ukraine. I thought about it for a while and I was really hesitant to do so because I thought, what are people going to think of me? I've been so.
I don't know. Yeah, God forbid they think you're actually reporting on what's actually going on. Maybe go, why would that be weird? It would be less weird if you went to Russia with Tucker and Candace, probably.
Ukraine for so long, and
she's Loomer Tunes.
I have parroted these talking points thinking that I was, saying the right thing and not recognizing how, as a conservative or as a Trump supporter or just as an American citizen, how I was being emotionally manipulated by propaganda online. And
holy shit. I mean, this is, I gotta say, you guys, you know, better late than never, but this is fucking crazy. Remember how, you know, how often I'll say, like, you think Glenn Beck thought he would be, you know, like right after the election, if you came back from, you know, from a year in the future and went, hey, Glenn, in a year, you're going to be saying that the president might be, you know, edging closer to dropping a nuke, and we're already back in another war in the Middle East of choice. And he's already attacked Venezuela and talked about attacking Cuba within months of each other, and he's following through with it. And then just like, what do you think? Do you think he would have believed me? I think he would have gone, oh shit, yeah, probably. That's what I'm. The same thing here. Like, this is an enormous turnaround. And again, I don't have anything invested in she's okay now, like MTG. Like, I just want to point out that this is reality coming down like a sledgehammer on these folks.
I felt a little embarrassed, to be completely honest, sending a correspondent abroad, because I thought, well, people are going to attack me and they're going to say that I'm a hypocrite, and they're not going to be gracious, and they're not going to give me an opportunity. Gracious?
You mean like you were towards people who were sounding the alarm over Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the rape squads they sent into Bucha, and never mind what the fucking Wagner Group. I call them that because they're not the Wagner Group. They were named after Hitler's favorite composer. Talk about denazification. The Russian paramilitary group, what they were doing to pregnant African women. Just go look that shit up.
To change my opinion.
Or nuke. Ouch. So, so you've got Glenn Beck going, I don't know that. That's a classic. And Megyn Kelly going, all this stuff seems grifty to me. And now Laura Loomer going, she was completely wrong about Ukraine, and Russia is now the bad guy. Oop, my headphones just died. So that must be the end of the show. I'm going to leave you with that. Yeah, they croaked. They did the old boo-boo-boo-boo. I got to remember to plug these things in next time. Hold on one second. Oh, because that line's, I see. Yeah. I will see you guys tomorrow. Boston Brian is going to be in Ukraine. He's in Ukraine now, but he's going to be with us live from Ukraine tomorrow morning for the first hour. And then Phil's going to be in for the second hour. And then regular afternoon show, crazy pants stuff that's going on. And again, here's the thing that I think people don't understand about when MTG or Laura Loomer or or Megyn Kelly finally turn on Trump and go, or at least on the issues he has sold them for a long time, or that the Russians have sold them. When they finally turn, I'm giving you permission. You do not have to be emotionally invested in this human being. There are plenty of people in your life to be emotionally invested in. You can look at it from a completely clinical standpoint. You can look at it and go, look, there's an impact happening, and that's think of it as like the little marks on a thermometer in a telethon. Right now, the Trump might actually be an evil fucker. Thermometer is getting very near the top, and it's being, it's already halfway filled with us, but it's starting to fill up with the maggots that are coming on board. And that's all you have to know. And I also want you to know that, not just because we can dunk on these dickheads and it's funny, and it is, but also to remind you that this idea that there's this cohesive anti-American psycho Trump cult thing that will never break and will always have a stranglehold on, on the words liberty and freedom, which they absolutely do not believe in. Again, anybody who supports Russia and you're like, I'm for gun rights, like, fuck off. No, you're not. Do you have any idea what the gun rights are in Russia? How about their jury system over there? You want that here? Do you? What part of the Russian system would you like over here? And then go do the Chinese system as well. For real. And if you're like, I want future stuff, I want Shenzhen. Okay, well then you have to put up with all the pollution. Then just say, I don't give a shit if you could walk across the metallic and radioactive and toxic sludge in the water in the river near my house if I could, have a fucking shitty robot, like a third-rate robot factory a mile from my house. That's what you're really asking for. So the idea that there's this big unified superfront of maggots and that they're holding it together, and that when Hegseth blathers like he does for an audience of one, that it's having an impact on the electorate, it is not. It is absolutely not. And I want you guys to vote this fall with that in mind, that you have the numbers. If you think you live in a red district, I'm here to tell you it's purple. And you have a responsibility, if you're in a red district, that you could make purple, especially just by showing up like everybody does. Just everybody vote. That's all I'm asking. Everybody who has the legal right to vote, I want you to vote this year, whether you vote with me or not. If there's a maggot watching right now, or some sort of, someone they would call a rhino or an independent who thinks libertarianism is an actual political system, which is hilarious. It's, it's like nihilism incorporated, but whatever. Whether you vote for the candidates I like or not, I want you to vote. I want you to participate, because when you lose fair and square or you win fair and square, you start to feel connected to the outcome and you feel like you have a say in it. And you can recognize that you got to the point you were in because you either couldn't convince other people that your plan will work and that's why you lost, or you won on that side because you were capable of doing that, and you still have a responsibility to the people that didn't vote your way to explain what's going on, because we're in a fucking democracy. Participate. And if you don't vote, you're a privileged bigot. I'm just telling you, not a matter of opinion. You are. Your sense of personal worth, where you find the necessity of your own nihilistic tendencies are higher than making an adult choice in reality, is the highest form of pathetic privilege. Other than that, I have no. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourself. Somebody else. Thank you. Super chat. And PM, but I will look for it. Your girl to have a nice meal. There you go. But I'm going to have a sodium pack in there eventually. But thank you, Jake Ambrelli. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, 3546. Happy birthday to you. I'm sorry, I don't know the name associated with the account, but happy birthday. And I hope you have a great one. And I hope you have many more. I think the "and many more" thing is the most crucial part of the whole birthday thing. All you got to do, just stay alive till 2030, 2035, and there's a very strong chance you could live forever. And I'm for it. Oop, did I go? Oh, my mic went out for a second? That's weird. Am I back, though? It's all right? Yeah, it looks like I'm making... YouTube's messing with me. Samantha? Okay. Happy birthday, Samantha. There you go. Did it cut out right when I was singing happy birthday? Was it the old ladies who own the rights to happy birthday? That's terrible. Okay, I don't know how long where the gap was, but happy birthday. very much. And now I'll get out of here because I got to go do stuff. I got a bunch of grinding to do. That sounds naughty. Well, there. Warning sign. Weird.
Then came the sinning.
That was weird. The echo cancellation killed it.
It's chemical, not logical. Yeah, she was the real one. Now look at what she's done. Now you know you're blaming her, but you sure did your share. Now she's gone, and you cry and say that life just isn't fair.
Yeah, it was the echo cancellation CSL and Andrea. Weird.